Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto was transported to the Justice League world. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this out with your friends in your social media platform. And also remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and stay tuned for the rest of the what ifs coming your way. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Naruto was on his ship with the Wonder Woman and the Kyuubi, as they made their way towards the island. Arriving there, all of the women there had their weapons out. As Wonder Woman went to talk to them, they were shocked because the god sent her to literal hell was like a death sentence. As Naruto went into the room, as he spoke with her mother, and another Amazon woman came in there. As she spoke about Naruto in a rude manner, causing the Kyuubi to knock her out in one hit. As Naruto allowed Hippolyta to put the lasso around him and asked him what he felt for her daughter, as Naruto explained how he really felt, and then it became rather perverted, as Wonder Woman couldn't even look her mother in the eye. As Naruto went to visit her that night, as the both of them were talking, things got rather heated, as they did for the first time right there. As the entire palace was shaking violently, Naruto had to enter Siege Pass 6 mode, as all the Amazons came there and wondered what was going on, as one of them were rather naive and asked if the man was hurting the princess, but the others blocked her and then told her what was going on, as all of them felt a lot aroused. The next morning, as she hugged her daughter as she wished her good luck, as she told Naruto once he bring back her daughter safe, she would hug him as well. As they head straight in towards the gates, they made their way inside, as they saw a giant three-headed dog, as Kram started dominating over the dog and ended up making the dog jump into a pit of fire. Also, Hera was in there as well, as she went and freed one of Zeus' sons that was wrapped up in chains as he was being burned over and over again. His crime was trying to rape her, as she told him to go and kill them and she would give him his freedom. She knew that he was going to kill them, but it was just to buy her some time, as she made her way to where she wanted to go, as she asked the special demons there to bring their boss to her. As Naruto and Diana end up facing off against him after facing off a ton of demons, as Diana slashed his throat, as he knew that he was going to go back there, as he cried out in pain and agony. As they were flying through, they faced off against a lot of demons, as Naruto realized he couldn't regenerate his chakra. Well, he had enough to last, so he was going to waste it, because he didn't know how strong Hades was, and Kram could not regenerate his chakra after for so long. Half of his power was still inside Naruto that allowed him to regenerate. So Naruto was the one that usually channeled power through him. So he shrunk back down and went on Naruto's shoulder as they made their way. As Naruto asked Diana a question that hit her hard. What next? Yes, because if they do this for the gods, she especially, they will use her as a lapdog and make her do whatever they want. As Naruto sit down with her, as he wanted to hear about the gods, he wanted to know which one to stay away from and which one to kill. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what is to begin this new episode? Diana sat down with Naruto. As she looked towards him, the Amazons worshipped 5 goddesses: Aphrodite, Athena, Demeter, Artemis, and Hestia. As she went on to explain the roles of the Amazon goddess and their culture. Aphrodite is the one that came up with the idea of creating the Amazons. She's a god of love and beauty, and she blessed the Amazons with her beauty. As Naruto nodded at that, because while there he didn't even see one unattractive woman. If they went to the outside world, each one of them could pursue a career in modeling if they wanted to. Goddess Hestia is the one who gifted our home. If there is one goddess in the pantheon that is said to have no faults at all, it is her. Even now I still respect her a lot, She's a goddess of home and family. Naruto was listening to her words with interest, even the Kyuubi was paying attention. As Kram was going to become a god soon and he wanted to learn more about it. Though they have seen the world and traveled it for centuries, they did not have any encounters with so-called gods. Demeter is the goddess of harvest and fertility. Themyscira has a small number of farmers, but the Amazons had never suffered for food because of her blessing. She also blessed us with superhuman and physical strength and durability. Artemis is the goddess of wilderness, the moon and the hunt. She gifted us to have a connection with the life, with nature, and skill at hunting. She's also the reason why Kram purred like a cat when I scratched his belly. As Naruto chuckled as Kram growled a bit. As for Athena, she's the one that blessed the Amazons to have skill in battle. She gifted them the wisdom, the technology and education. Currently, she's the most important patron goddess of the Amazons. So the way I see it, Naruto, Zeus and Hera has no direct connection over the Amazons. So unless I'm missing something, why can't we just kill them and get it over with? Wonder Woman snorted a bit, as Naruto was talking like Zeus was a random street thug, and not the strongest god in the world. Things aren't as simple as that. Goddess Athena is Zeus' favorite daughter, Aphrodite, and Artemis are his daughter as well. And Goddess Hestia is Zeus' sister. Demeter is Zeus' sister as well. And on top of that, they even made a kid together. Even if we can kill Zeus, do you think they would just sit and watch from the sidelines? You know, I don't know much about them, but from what you told me so far, Zeus seems like a massive cunt. You're telling me everyone loved that guy, after how many people he killed and raped? I'm actually amazed no one tried to kill him after so many years. Oh, the other gods did try, several times in fact, but he's managed to stay on top each time. That is why no one dared to go against his words. And that is why the other gods didn't try to dethrone him anymore for thousands of years. Despite her words, however, Naruto simply smiled. They are afraid of moving against him by themselves. But what if they saw opportunity? Killing Hades should be more than enough proof that we're capable of killing any other god too. Won't they take the chance if they see one? They're just not willing to take the responsibility of leading a rebellion, because in case of failure, the leader of rebellion will be punished the worst. But what if we take that spot for them? We will take on that responsibility, said Kram, as Diana looked at him. She has never seen him at full strength before, but the entire universe is aware of his feat, about destroying the Poseidon's home planet. That was a level of power that she not even heard of, even in the midst of the Olympian gods. Furthermore, there was Naruto as well, and she herself was no slouch either. Maybe defeating Zeus and Hera isn't that far-fetched after all, she thought. Nevertheless, she couldn't just jump on the train without weighing everything in her mind first. Maybe Naruto, Kram and I will be able to survive the war and escape if we fail. But what about my mother? What about my sister? If we lost, they would end up here in hell, she said. She looked around, as she remembered the terrible torture that she saw, and she didn't wish for any of them to go through that. If it was only myself, I'm not afraid of taking on anyone. But this isn't just about me. This will implicate my mother and the rest of the Amazons as well. Their livelihood is at stake. I won't gamble. I can't agree starting a war unless we're absolutely certain about our success. As Naruto knew that his attitude would be the same as hers if he was in her shoes, and he would not risk his loved one's life on a gamble. I can already destroy planets as I am right now. What about after when I become a god, said Kram. There he goes again, said Naruto. No one will be my match. I would be invincible. Kram says he threw back his head and he started to laugh. His pride and arrogance were already sky high. Naruto could only imagine his arrogance when he became a real god. Regardless, now that they sat down and talked about the future course, things didn't look that bleak anymore. Time skip. It's no good, my clones can't see anything. There's a shield spellcast around the island, said Naruto. He had sent several of his clones that transformed into insects to spy on the island, but it was covered in a spear of magic. I guess our only way in is by using brute force, he said. What are we waiting for? Let's go, said Kram, as the three of them started to fly towards the island. How are we going to break their shield? Asked Diana. Are you going to cast some of your powerful spells at it? As Naruto smiled, as Kram then spoke, it's not the first time that we see a fortress covered by a spell or shield. We even create a special technique that is capable of breaking them. You always surprise me how vertical your techniques are. Gravity control, elemental control, flying with elemental control, becoming invisible, laying traps, teleporting, shapeshifting, self-regeneration, and even healing spell for others. Is there anything that you can't do? I'm envious, she said. 1 century with clones after clones, absorbing energy and information. It would make anyone strong, said Naruto. It would be strange if I wasn't that strong after such a long time. She fly back some distance to give him space. Alright then, let's see what you got. As Naruto and Kram chuckled like they were laughing at the inside joke known only to them. As Naruto started to flash through a quick and long hand sign. As Wonder Woman's heart started to beat faster in anticipation. Alright, said Naruto. Whirl, Destroyer, big ass fuck jutsu, he said. Then he grabbed Kram on his shoulder and threw him. Diana's eyes went wide. Naruto, what the hell, she said. Before any of them could say anything else, Kram became massive. With a roar of laughter, he slammed into the shielding spell. The entire island shook violently and the spear of magic that was guarding it break like glass. She turned to look at Naruto. He was laughing so hard he was having troubles maintaining his flight in the air. As he hyped it up as a special technique designed for breaking barriers, he even went through so many long hand signs, and they really was nothing at all. She thought that she was going to witness a apocalyptic spell no weaker than a nuke, but that wasn't that at all. He just threw Kram. As Naruto wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. It's called trolling. We do a little trolling sometimes. Her eyes started to twitch. Naruto. She couldn't even find her words. They were going to face off against a god in a life and death battle, but here he was, making jokes and playing pranks. She did not even know how to react. But they were all cut off when Kram roared into the sky as he started his rampage. Meanwhile, what are you playing at, Hera? Why would I trust my back to a vicious, luxurious woman like you? The rather deep voice came from a very muscular man, black armor and a red cape. He had shoulder-length black hair, and a goatee as well, as it was Hades, as the beautiful woman turned her eyes at him. The last offspring that Zeus made. At the end of the war, he promised me that he would never spread his seed ever again. After that, I knew about his discretion with Hippolyta and many women over the years, but I was willing to turn my head the other way, as long as he never made a child with anyone else besides me. Hades clenched his fist tight, as he never forgotten how Zeus raped the woman that he loved and ruined his life. That was the very reason why he sided with the Titan against the Olympics in the war, and that was the reason why he was trapped here ever since. To this day, he was filled with unbridled rage. I paid close attention to Hippolyta and the Amazons after the incident, but Hippolyta had never shown any signs of pregnancy. And her daughter out of clay did not seem any different from the rest of the Amazons. 2,000 years passed, I never expected. But I found out that her daughter was not made from clay. It was flesh and blood. Zeus, flesh and blood. I can no longer tolerate him. His infidelities, his lies. I can no longer. He needs to die. I will kill him and his offspring if it's the last thing I do. As her face was twisted with rage. Although Hades knew how manipulative she could be and cunning, but they hated her voice at that moment and the rage. He could tell that he was not fake, and it wasn't the first time that she tried to dethrone him. So, he knew that she wanted him dead. Regardless, Hades learned his lesson from the past. Despite how powerful the Titans were, with him joining them, they still lost the war against the Olympics. So many of us have tried to defeat him in the past. Even Titans try. Do you think the three of us can defeat him? Speaking of the three of them, Hades looked through the window outside of his castle as a massive being was outside. It was like a creature out of a nightmare. Several hundred feet in wide, it only had the legs and arms of a humanoid. The rest of his body was that of a monster. 9 heads, fleshy wings, and over 20 more arms. Tentacles were growing out of his back, and snakes came out of his neck like the mane of a lion. It was none other than Typhon, the son of Gaia, and Tartarus, the god of monsters. Typhon is very powerful indeed, but I hope you haven't forgotten Briareus, have you? How he squashed you through rebellion and the bugs, and how you were hung in the sky by Zeus as punishment. He is still loyal to Zeus and is more than a match for Typhon. Hera faced burning shame as she was reminded of her humiliation in the past. Things are different now, she said. She took a deep breath as she calmed herself as she continued. After nearly 2,000 years, the people of Earth no longer worship the Olympic gods. Without the power of fate, Zeus is much weaker than before. If he was confident, he wouldn't have sent that woman to a suicide mission to fight you. He would have come here himself. As for Olympics, it's not as united as before either, not by a far. Ares and Hermes have involved themselves completely with the mortal world. Athena only cares about her Amazons. And Poseidon would more than willing to take my side. Just like before, the rest of the gods are either indifferent or too weak to be important. Hades huffed. Even at his peak, Zeus never dared to step foot in this realm of the dead because the Titans They slumber here. If they didn't, he would have tried to kill me a long time ago. Fine. I will play along, because I have nothing better to do anyway. But mark my words, Hera. If you betray me, make sure you kill me, because I will spend the rest of my eternal life hunting you down. She was unfazed by his threat as they were about to shake hands to seal a deal when everything started to shake violently. As a demonic roar shook the sky violently, as all of them looked around, Typhon was shocked, as he had never seen something bigger than him like this before. As he was already big, but that nine-tailed demon shook the entire place. What is this? What is this feeling? He could not move his arms. Dozens of arms paralyzed to his side. It was like needles were stabbing him all over. For the first time in his life, the god of monsters experienced a new feeling. It was fear. Utter fear. Die. Die, said Kram as he rampaged. As an enormous fist crashed towards the god of monsters, Wonder Woman stopped for the first time in her life. She saw the power that Kram actually wielded. As her heart trembled, she knew that they were on the same side and they cared about each other as friends. But the feeling of fear creeping into her heart, she understood why he was so arrogant and why he had so many pride. Then, how strong is Naruto, she wondered herself. As she heard Naruto say more than once that he kicked the fox's ass, and Kram never said no or anything. So, was Naruto able to defeat this? Hades is not alone, said Naruto, snapping her from her thoughts, as dust filled the entire place on the island, breaking apart. Another terrified roar went through the place and blew away all the dust. As, in the destruction of everything, two humanoid beings stood there, protected by a spear of magic. As Hades lost his composure and Hera's face was pale from shock. Trapped in here for millennia, Hades was not up to date with the powerful beings. As for Hera, she never paid attention to the mortal world. Mortals were beneath her. The two of them were unaware of Kyuubi, infamous in the universe. Not far from them, a mass of flesh was rippling on the ground. As it was Typhon, as he was regenerating. It had been a terrible strike. Hydras and other creatures known for their regenerations were his offspring. As their guardian ancestor, he possessed all their abilities but much stronger. Overcoming his fear after getting back up, he roared in rage. His 9 hydronic heads opened their mouths, and black fire flew towards Kram. Kram shocked as he flipped one of his tail and blew away all the flames. Naruto made a clone and sent a message towards Kram. Kram, don't toy with him. Kill him fast. Keep in mind I cannot supply you with chakra this time. You're on your own. I assume that is Hades, Naruto says. He turned towards Wonder Woman. Who is that next to him? Is that his wife? Yes, that's Hades. As for that woman, it's Hera. Naruto smiled. She brought herself right to us. What are the chances? He was about to launch himself, but he was grabbed from behind. She stopped him. Naruto, don't take them lightly, she said seriously. I don't know about Hera, but Justice League fought against Hades once. He overwhelmed us. Superman, Martian Manhunter, Batman, Flash, and I. We didn't stand a chance. He defeated us all at once. We won in the end, but it was only by a fluke. He looked at her for a few seconds as he didn't say anything. He then brought a hand as he tucked one of her hair behind her ears. I know, we talked about this already. Don't worry. I'll be careful, I promise, he said. Despite being on the battlefield, she momentarily relaxed into his hand. I'll take care of Hades and you of Hera. You okay with it, said Naruto. Fine by me, she said. I'll engage first and break them apart, divide and conquer. But don't strain yourself. Play it safe and stall for time until I kill Hades. After that, we'll join hands and kill Hera too. Diana, glare at him. You're underestimating me, aren't you? Knowing how approach he was of her skills as a warrior. No, I'm just... He wanted that he was afraid for her safety, that he did not want anything bad to happen to her. But he knew that it would just make her even more angry, saying that she was not capable of protecting herself. Just, you be careful too, he said. As she simply nodded, as Naruto raised his hand and fists and put it in front of her. She raised her hand and bumped fists with him. Her eyes widened and she felt feelings and thoughts flooding her. His love for her, his desire to spend the rest of his life with her, his secret thirst for a good battle against a worthy opponent, his desire for her to be happy, his respect for her, his worries for her safety, his fear of being alone. At that moment she understood him completely. As she looked at him as their fists separated, she was never connected to someone in a spiritual person like that before. Let's do our best, he said as he smiled at her softly. She nodded her head. As Naruto turned his attention back to the battlefield, he was never worried about Kurama because his lifetime best friend, he knew how powerful Kurama was. As his eyes became sharp and his demeanor then changed, a cloak of yellow and red flames appeared on his body, in a cloak. As he entered tail beast mode as he blurred out of existence. An instant later a silhouette appeared, completely bypassing Hera magic. Konoha Senpyu! The both of them received a boot to the face that knocked them aside. As they were hurled in the opposite directions like a truck had smashed into them. Diana, he shouted. As Diana drew her weapon and rushed towards where Hera landed. As Diana smashed into her with a shield, Hera broke through the wall she was sent sailing. Hades managed to flip in the air. As he landed calm. You dare strike a god, he yelled with fury. But Naruto didn't waste time as he created a massive Rasengan. As he appeared in front of the man and drive the Rasengan forward. Smashing the Rasengan against Hades, it was like a regular person trying to push a train. As the man caught it and slapped it away like it was a beach ball. A large crater was carved into the ground and the thing blew up. As Naruto looked at him, that resistance against magic and the strength of this Olympia god, it was insane. If I had access to natural engineer to thought, while in the 6 passage mode he could lift hundreds of tons and level a mountain with a punch alone, he would not be afraid of a physical competition against a god. But the current situation required him to avoid meeting Hades' hits with his body. Nevertheless, he was no longer one trick pony like when he was younger. He had other methods of dealing with his enemies as well. Hades' face lost its human appearance and transformed into a demon. His skin became grey, 2 horns came from his forehead, and his eyes became red. He opened his mouth as a massive fireball came from it. As Naruto flipped and jumped, fireball after fireball was shot from Hades, but Naruto was too agile to get hit by them. Hades stomped his foot that he couldn't hit the blonde. As the ground cracked open, a skeleton started to come on surface. All sorts of skeletons. They were centipedes, dragons, all sorts. A buzzing sound was heard and the pitch black sky became dark red. As tens of thousands of demons were coming, rushing to answer the call of their god. Floating in mid-air with his arm crossed, Hades looked down. Do you realize how powerless you are right now? You are just a man, and this is my realm. I am a god. Attacking the god of Underworld in his own domain. How stupid of you, boy. Despite everything coming down on him, like a wave was about to crash into him, Naruto was perfectly calm. As the battle that was going on between Kram and Typhon, it was really a battle, it was a one-sided beatdown. Typhon was doing everything, shorting hellfire, creating vortex, doing everything to attack Kram, breaking off parts of his body to create monsters to help him in battle. But it was all for naught, a mere tail could squash everything. In front of Kram, all of Typhon's abilities seemed insignificant and small. Typhon had already died and regenerated himself 10 times in 10 minutes. Hades started to get pissed as he noticed Naruto was paying attention to the fight between the two gigantic beings and not paying attention to him. The man in front of him was too relaxed. Either he's too stupid to realize he was going to die, or either he's confident that I can't hurt him. As his rage then boosts, to think there will come a day when a mortal would treat him with such disrespect. The bow dragons opened their mouth and flames burst out of it, as it started to burn everything in their path, not caring about ally or foe, going towards Naruto. But then a dagger pierced right through them. Hades barely had time to lean his head to the side, as the dagger passed him, striking his cheek. But he didn't care, it was going to heal up in a few seconds. But in a flash, Naruto grabbed the dagger, appearing behind Hades, as he was holding a purple color king released Rasengan. Hades didn't even notice until the Rasengan smashed into the back of his head. There were no explosions, Hades could not even feel in pain. He was not wounded at all, but when you want to turn around to face the enemy, his heart jumped to his throat. He could not control his body. He was paralyzed. The Rasengan was not to injure him, but to immobilize him. An aura of magic light burst behind his back. His body started to shake and looked like he was going to regain control. As Naruto did not waste time, as his tail beast cloak transformed into a cloak of yellow and red lightning, it was a version of the Third Reich Hagi lightning armor. A grinding Rasengan is not a good attack because of his magic resistance, as he's a god. I need a piercing attack. Without my 6th path, this is the strongest piercing attack I have. As he clenched his right fist, the lightning went down there, everything pumping to the fist. Then he extended his index finger. It was the most powerful stage of Hell Stab. It took only 2 seconds, but due to his panic or rush of adrenaline, Hades gained back some control. At the moment when Naruto's attack was going to stab through his back and pierce his heart, he turned as Naruto hit his shoulder. He could not pierce through it because of the titanic armor. Hades kicked Naruto into his gut with all of his strength as Naruto was sent sailing as a cannonball. This armor was forged by the god of fire and blacksmith. Your puny magic attacks can't even leave a scratch on me. My armor would parry everything you throw against me. Hades says he chuckle. Naruto pulled himself in the crater. He was not wounded as he coughed a bit. So his armor is just as tough as the bracelets, huh? Lightning exploded from Naruto's body, turning all the skeletons that were trying to attack him into dust. He then vanished as the arrows stabbed where he was. The skeletons were firing arrows as well. As it then started to rain fire from above, the demons raining down flames towards him. Naruto slammed his hand together in a prayer as the gravity encompassed the air around 600 feet around him. The same technique that he used against the Gordians. The 100 demons firing at him lost their ability to fly as they were pulled down violently as they smashed down to their deaths. But his victory was short-lived because right away several bone dragons fired their fire at him. The entire place was obliterated as the skeletons and Naruto was gone. Hades was about to chuckle until he was kicked in the back of the leg. Hades was confused. He just watched a mortal die with his own eyes. And now he found himself on his knees as a huge rusting gun smashed in the side of his head and exploded. Slightly dizzy and blood running down, with a scratch in his temple, he tried to stand up, but a feet smashed into his temple. Then 4 shadow clones pinned him down, grabbing each of his limbs. Hades tried to yank himself up, but the clones became over 100 times heavier. It was an earth technique that could increase her weight many times over, depending on the need. As the shadow clones were unable to move because they were so heavy, but they achieved their goal though as they pinned Hades down. Naruto's up in the air as he raised his arms as 2 chakra arms came out as well. A purple black spear of chakra started taking form in the right hand. It was different from his previous Rasengan's, way different. It was a tail beast bomb. Magic resistance, you can parry all my attack. Parry this, said Naruto. Hades' scream was a scream of fear and despair. For the first time in existence, the realm of dead saw light. It was like the sun was born. For several seconds, everyone saw white as an explosion boomed. It was like a nuclear bomb when it went off. Meanwhile, the god of monsters, Typhon, he was growing desperate. Never in his existence before as he fought against such a terrible creature. He even battled against Zeus on his own and he put up a fight against the gods already. But now it was like he was a child trying to fight against an adult. Why won't you just die, said Kram as he smashed his tail on Typhon, smashed him into a bloody paste. He had killed him several times already, but the god seemed capable of regenerating himself from the tiniest scraps of skin. 5 massive claws stabbed through Typhon as he cried out in pain and agony. Typhon's 18 eyes showed fear and urgency when he realized what Kram was doing. As Kram brought him up, the beast wanted to eat him. Gritting his teeth, one of Typhon's hands morphed into a blade and he sliced at his own neck. One of his head was severed, he sliced off on his own. What the hell, said Kram, as Typhon grabbed his head and threw it away. In the next moment, his body shriveled and turned to black sand. A roar of anger came from Kram as he realized he was tricked. Typhon had abandoned 95% of his body and was running with his life through that head of his. You think I'll let you get away? Kram rushed him down. As Kram was quickly able to reach him, but suddenly his fur started to turn mellowed out. It was losing its color, and he felt dizzy as he came to a stop. The black sand that Typhon melted into was not just sand. If Kram had capable of seeing small, tiny life forms, he'd have seen that the black sand was tiny life forms that went into his body and sucked out his natural energy. From 1,000 feet tall, Kram started to decrease in size. Meanwhile, Typhon's severed head started to grow a torso and limbs, regenerating himself. While Kram could not see the parasites, he noticed their effects right away. As he exploded, a wave of chakra, blowing them out of him. As the chakra ignited, Typhon vomited blood. Those insects was a part of him. So this god, said Kram to himself after getting rid of the leeches. As Kram had decreased in size, standing only 600 feet in height now, Typhon had sapped away a third of his chakra in a matter of seconds. As Kram understood that he underestimated the god of monsters. As the both of them glared at each other dangerously, their body were tense and their eyes were on each other, but neither of them moved. Both of them were waiting for the other to make the first move and take advantage of it. I must have killed him 10 times already, but he kept reviving himself over and over. He also drained a third of my chakra and Naruto can supply me with more, like in the past. I can't afford a battle of nutrition. If this drags on, I will lose. He growled in annoyance at that, as the strongest be drew out of his fellows, and even been able to destroy a planet. He had become very proud and confident of his power, but he was not stupid and he still saw reality quite clear. He decided to put his pride in the back seat and became cautious. If I lose, he will never let me live it down. He could already picture Naruto in his mind laughing his ass off at him. And that was the last thing he wanted. But suddenly an explosion went off, forcing the both of them to close their eyes as the place went white. But that was the exact thing that Kram wanted. As Kram opened up his mouth, As he started to gather a spear in front of it, his fur started to shrivel up and disappear, and his body started to shrink down. As he poured chakra into the tail beast bomb, he was unable to keep his large size anymore. As he finished powering up the Bijou bomb, he was just 100 feet tall. When Typhon finally opened his eyes and regained his sight, he saw a large spear of energy. The fox was nowhere to be seen, and tail beast bomb was large, twice as larger than Kram, and now it was too late for Typhon to run, and the spear of magic was too large for him to dodge it. With no other choice left, he curled himself on the ground as a husk grew from his skin and tough scales appeared on him too, as he showed his strongest defense in protecting his body. For the second time that day, the demon hell escape was illuminated by a deafening bright light as Kram released the bomb. For more than 10 miles around them, everything was vaporized. The explosion was massive that shook the entire area. It took a very long while for everything to die down. When Kram looked in the crater, only thing that was left from the god of monsters was flesh. The remains of Typhon was still wiggling. He was still alive. If left by himself, Kram had no doubt that he'd regenerate, but he had no intention of making him regenerate. I have to eat this, Kram said in disgust, as he picked it up and one of his tails covered his nose. As he threw the remains of Typhon to his mouth, he gagged. He almost threw up. But it was his key to godhood. It was the only way to stop the power of fate from driving him insane, as he swallowed it. Meanwhile, after smashing into the cliff, Hera still continued to rule, seeing that Diana did not hold back when she smashed into her with her shield. She may have been the queen, but that was due to her being Zeus's wife. In terms of strength in the battle, she was far below Hades or Typhon. Nonetheless, she was still a goddess, and her divine power blasted outwards, stabilizing herself in the air. She barely had enough time to cast a protective shield around her, as the princess smashed into her again. Wonder Woman was not giving her any chance to reunite with Hades. By the time that Hera finally stopped in her bubble of magic, she was 5 miles away from the floating island. As Hera was someone to be beautiful. Yes, she was on par in the looks with some of the other goddesses. But now, her crown was missing, as her white clothing, part of it, had been greatly damaged, and her hair was now filled with ash and dirt, and her face was twisted in pure rage. I'll make you regret the day you raised your hand against me. I'll make you suffer for millennia to come. I'll make you watch as I sell the rest of the Amazons to slavery, and in the end, I'll make you beg me to grant you the sweet release of death. I swear that on my own name. Hera yelled in rage as she let out a scream as the earth broke apart. She waved her hand as boulders were launched towards Diana. It was like a rain of meteorites as Diana clenched her hand around her shield. There were too many of them for her to dodge them all. Boulders weighing several tons smashed against her shield with booms as she was pushed back by the impact. Eventually they stopped, but Hera ruptured the ground once again. Wonder Woman launched herself forward, but she was met with rocks once again. Helpless, she could only hold onto her shield and tough it out. As Hera understood she would be in mortal danger if the princess got too close to her. Hera was not a warrior, she was not in direct battles front to front. She was feared by the gods because of her vengeful and venomous personality, as she manipulated others to do their dirty work and used curses on mortals as well. But when it came to a frontal battle against someone like Diana, she didn't stand a chance, as she wanted to keep this up until Hades or Typhon came to her aid. Is this all the mighty queen of Olympus is capable of? Throwing rocks like a savage barbarian, said Diana, as Diana was trying to get a rise out of her. Despite how violent the rocks were and how strong they were coming, he could not hurt Wonder Woman at all. He just blew her back. But Hera did not fall for the taunt as she kept rocks surrounding her, throwing one at a time. Going after Diana, she kept her eyes sharp so Diana wouldn't come close to her. As this time, Diana shielded her shield behind her as she moved forward. She then smashed her braces together. That created a sonic wave boom as all the boulders are blasted away. As she launched herself towards the goddess, as she twirled her lasso and tried to grab Hera. But Hera cast a teleportation spell, reappearing 400 feet away from the princess. As Diana clenched her fist as she got away from her once again. I really need to make Naruto keep up his promise and teach me some of those techniques, she muttered to herself. She was mostly a close range fighter, and if she could not get to her opponent, she was a basically sitting duck. While Hera could not harm her, neither could Diana get close and kill her. But then suddenly, the dark skies were lighting up in light. It was like the sun came in the line of dead. Hera was momentarily shocked when the extreme bright light blinded her, as Diana had expected her to launch an attack like that sooner or later. This is my chance, she thought to herself, as she unsheathed her god-slain sword, as she pulled herself back and threw the blade with all of her might. As Hera could only hear the sharp object piercing through the air, Her eyes were currently blind by the brightly light. The blade slashed right into her stomach and burst through her back. The burning pain overwhelmed her senses. It was the first that she felt such a pain before. She had never been wounded so badly in her entire life. She was not accustomed to pain. But Wonder Woman used that to appear beside her in a speed. Everything she got in that speed burst as her lasso wrapped around Hera, preventing her from teleporting away. The goddess was still dizzy as Diana grabbed onto the blade. Diana didn't even hesitate as she sliced the goddess in half as blood splattered all over her white suit. Both Kram and Wonder Woman had taken advantage and killed their foes by Naruto attack by the blinding white light. But Naruto was not finished yet, as Naruto was surprised Hades was still alive. No, even more than that, the man was practically unscathed, because someone had protected him. Hades was unconscious, as his chest was going up and down. Naruto could see that he was still alive, but there was an athletic woman in front of him. She had long black hair and silver eyes with an open face helmet and a bronze covered armor on her body. A long spear was stabbed into the ground next to her. Her two arms were holding onto her shield. She reminded Naruto of Diana. They looked so similar. The woman was shaking badly as she was the one who took the full brunt of the tail beast bomb. "Who are you?" Naruto said. He was sure that she had to be a goddess of some sort, as she just tanked that like it was nothing. Well, she wasn't unscathed completely. Before Naruto could hear anything from her, another explosion went off as he turned his head. "Crazy fox," he said. As Naruto saw the land below him melting from the heat wave, as he wondered, was that monster really that strong for Kram to use so much power? As Kram was a distance away and yet the attack reached over here. He probably doesn't have much chakra left. As Naruto took 4 clones as they flicked away, as they made their way towards Kram to see if he was safe. As Naruto landed in the ground, a boom. As he stood tall, looking at the woman who protected Hades. "Who are you? Why are you getting in my way?" Naruto asked. Despite her body looking weary and worse for wear, she tried not to show any weaknesses as she picked up her spear and looked at Naruto. "I am Athena. I am the god of wisdom and war." Naruto held on to his head. "She's one of the 5 patron goddess of the Amazons. What the hell is she doing here?" "I mean no harm. I do not wish to battle against you. We're not enemies." "That's so nice and all, but I can't just take the words of a stranger. If you truly mean no harm, wait a few moments. My partners will be here soon." "Very well," she said, as the two of them waited in silence as Naruto had all sorts of thoughts going through his head. Kram could tell whether she was speaking the truth or not, and Diana could confirm her identity. Wonder Woman was first to arrive as Naruto was taken aback by the sight of her. Despite trying to wipe the blood away from her face, it was still smeared on it, and her armor and clothing was drenched in blood as well. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked, his eyes still on the armored woman. "I'm perfectly fine," she said. "This is Hera's blood. She got what she deserves, Diana." Her eyes went wide though. Lady Athena?" "Diana," as she released her shield. "It is good to see you." As Kram also arrived, carried by a shadow clone, as he returned to his tiny form. "Everything good on your side?" Kram Naruto asked. "Bastard wouldn't die. I lost count of how many times I destroyed his body. He just kept on resurrecting. I had to use nearly all of my chakra to kill him. It will take weeks for me to accumulate it back." As he jumped from the clone towards the original. But Naruto knew that Kram was excited, but he looked exhausted as well. He didn't even ask about the new woman standing by Hades. "I'm so tired. I'm gonna sleep," he said. "Wait, was that monster a god? Or do you need me to save Hades for you to kill him?" said Naruto. The goddess' face twitched. Naruto was talking about killing Hades, like her being there wasn't even a problem for him. "It was a god of monster. I learned about it after I ate him." "Alright, then you take a nap," Naruto says. He pat him on the head. "Diana and I will handle things here." He curled up into a tiny ball as his body started to assimilate the god of monsters' divinity. "Lady Athena, why are you here?" "I came here, the order of Zeus, to kill Hades." Has he changed his mind? Despite not worshipping the gods anymore, Diana was respectful towards the goddess of the Amazons. "Zeus has not changed his mind, but I intended on starting a coup d'etat, and I wish for Hades to join forces with me against Zeus. Hades does not deserve to die. He may have his faults, but he's 10 times better man than Zeus is." Naruto and Diana were startled. Athena was Zeus' favorite daughter. They did not expect her to say that. "You appear to be very surprised," she said. "In truth, it is not the first time I tried to take my father's throne. I tried to take it back in my youth. Back then I joined hands with Hera, Apollo, and Poseidon, and we almost succeeded. But I was still too young, still too weak and inexperienced. We failed." "I can sense that you don't trust me," she said. She looked at Naruto. "But this is a matter of life and death for us, the Olympia gods. If Zeus is not eliminated soon, many of us will perish." What do you mean by that? Who in the world can do such a thing to you? You are gods, Diana said. The god of evil, Darkseid, Athena said. But Darkseid is dead. Justly killed him a moment ago, said Diana. Athena shook her head. Darkseid is far more powerful than you realize. More powerful than Zeus realized. No one understands how dangerous he truly is. What justly killed was merely an avatar. It is not the first time that Darkseid was killed. How was he resurrecting all the time? Because it was just a vessel that he used to interact with a mortal existence. When one is killed, he can just create another. Darkseid is completely on a different level. He's not just the god of evil, of Apocalypse. He's the god of evil, of the entire universe. It is only the restrictions that are stopping him from conquering the entire universe. He has set his sights on Earth several thousand years ago when he came to Earth the first time. I have warned Zeus many times, but he doesn't want to listen. He's too confident his lightning and thunder. His arrogance has blinded him. He doesn't realize he has grown weaker. He doesn't realize that I already am powerful than he is. Mortals do not worship him anymore. And he continues to believe that he's the strongest. But Darkseid is sapping his power through the gap. And soon enough, we will all fall. I do not wish to see us drag all to death with Zeus because he doesn't want to listen. If he's so strong, why would he be interested in Earth? Why would someone as powerful as him care about a tiny, insignificant planet, said Naruto? He believed that Earth holds the anti-life equation, a magical formula that will give him control over every mind of intelligent beings in the universe. Seeing that his true body cannot leave the equation, possessing all control is the only way he can completely control the entire universe. That is why he will never give up on Earth. His conflict with the Justice League is just secondary. The anti-life equation is the thing he desires the most. So what do you plan on doing now? Asked Naruto. I will lead the Olympia gods into another dimension. Our departures long overdue. The people of Earth no longer worship us. There is no need for us to remain here anymore and put ourselves in mortal danger. We have nothing to gain from it. Then what about the Amazons? What will happen to my mother and sisters after you leave? My intention is to take the Amazons with me. But I will not force anyone to follow me, said Athena. For those who do not wish to leave the Earth, my blessing would allow them to live the lifespan of a normal human. That is the most I can do for them, she said. Moments later, will you follow me to the Olympics today? Asked Athena. As Naruto glanced at the slumbering fox on his shoulder, and at the bloody Wonder Woman. No, we need some rest. We can't start a war. When we're not at our best. Understandable, she said. As a pendant appeared in her hand, it was made of stone, circular, and it had a woman with snakes for hair. It looked like Medusa's head. She handed it to the Amazon princess. Take your time and recover. When you're ready, you can use this to summon me. A blue light then came from her hand as a portal appeared. As Naruto watched her, Hades is the god of the underworld. And this woman can make a portal and leave while he cannot do that. And she also took one of my tail-based bombs and survived. I better not take her lightly if we cross paths in the future, he thought to himself. Time skip. I'm so tired and filthy, Wonder Woman said. After stepping out of the portal and returning back on Themyscira, she realized her state. Dry blood, ash dirt and sweat covered her from head to toes, as she never remembered being so dirty before. My cloak is ruined, she said. She looked at her white cloak. Why, are you even wearing that cloak? Doesn't it get in the way? You'd be lying if you tell me no one tried to grab you by the cloak and slam you into the ground before. Naruto said that snicker. The pot called the kettle black. You're wearing a cloak as well, she said. Well then, be my guest, he said. Try to grab me by my cloak. She huffed as she stepped forward to grab it, but the buttons snapped her on his neck and pulled it right off. When she threw it to the side, a dagger was at her neck. Bet you didn't expect that. It always takes my opponents by surprise when they grab me by my cloak. Not only that, they never expect to come off so easily, and it gave them a bit of surprise at the moment. And it also hides my hand from their view, so it looked cool and it's useful as well. Show off, she said. Not minding his presence, she took off her armor completely naked. As she made her way towards the bathroom, she didn't stop. Here to join me, she asked. He had never taken off his suit so fast. Time skip. Naruto was in heaven, bathing together and then sleeping together, making love the entire night. As he never slept so peaceful before, as his face was currently buried in her chest. But then something started to shake him, a paw. Naruto! 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 Wake up! Damn it, Kram, what the hell do you want this early in the morning, to ask? As Naruto raised his head, what the? He looked at Kram in surprise. Kram's fur had become completely golden. Look, he said as he turned, he had 10 tails now. I'm a god, he said. I even got 10 tails. 10 tails? Wow, said Naruto. As he sit up and looked at Kram, Anything else changed, he asked. Kram raised his head proudly in the air. Watch, he said. All of a sudden, goosebumps appeared in her arms and he felt a chill in his spine as a pressure washed over him. He felt like the first time when he sensed Kaguya chakra when she resurrected. But Kram's power was over that by a mile. As Kram rained in his divine power, Naruto laughed at Kram's happiness as he started to bounce around. How could he not be happy for him? Kram was his lifelong best friend like a brother, and he was proud and happy, and glad that he was okay, and the voices were not ghosts. I don't need to feed me chakra anymore either. And also, I have 10 tails. As he kept on repeating that he had 10 tails. As Diana stretched, as their voices wake up. But she wasn't annoyed by them or anything, because last night was just wonderful. As she then heard the both of them go quiet. Diana? Are you okay? She heard Naruto spoke. She slowly opened her eyes as she was about to look at him, but she saw Krama first. Krama, your fur. Yes, I am a god, he said. But I'm not the only one who changed. Look at yourself. It was then that she caught sight of her hair. Her previous black hair was a silver color now. She was so startled that she released her aura as well. It was the aura of a goddess. As Naruto looked at her in awe, somehow she became even more enchanting, if that was even possible. When he first noticed her hair had turned white, he was afraid that something bad happened to her. But once she released her divine power, his worries were gone. 2 days later, they said their goodbyes to Himalta and the Amazons as they returned to her apartment in New York. Now, Kram was flying around the living room like a shuttle. Despite his great power, he was never able to fly before. But now that he was God, he could fly as he brushed through the air by the void. Cut it out already, said Naruto, as he couldn't pay attention to the TV in front of him because of Krama. He was like a bee buzzing around inside the room. As if to spite him, Krama landed right in front of the TV and spread his 10 tails out. Naruto had enough. A shadow clone came from the office room and handed the original Naruto a paper slip. Krama didn't realize what was going to happen until he felt someone slap his back. Suddenly, his powers were cancelled and he dropped to the ground with a thud. As Naruto grabbed him and dragged him to the kitchen. You want to fly? Then fly, Naruto says he threw Krama through the window. They were on the top floor of a skyscraper with over 70 floors. Naruto! Screw you, said Krama. Hearing the big sound of a car getting smashed to bits, it was almost like music to his ears. Seriously, you two, you're like Tom and Jerry. Not a day passed without one of you trying to drive each other nuts, said Diana as he returned to the living room. He came and sat down next to her. As the both of them started watching TV as the anchor started to spoke, there was a title written in bold letters: Wonder Woman expelled from the Justice League. Here is what the spokesperson of the Justice League, Martian Manhunter, had to say at the conference early this morning. The image changed as it showed Martian Manhunter as he was talking on many microphones. Maxwell Lord killed a Blue Beetle, one of our members 4 days ago. However, he should have answered for his crimes in front of the court according to the law. The Justice League do not condone Wonder Woman actions. It was never our intention to take the court in our law, just to keep people safe. As of what she did, as we now announce to a heavy heart, we hereby announce that she has been removed from the Justice League. She has been one of the founding members of the Justice League, as she had worked with us for years to protect the world and everyone else. But no one's above the reach of the law. We all have to be held accountable for our deeds. Tens of thousands of reporters started to yell at the same time. As one of them spoke loudly, what is Justice League doing to apprehend her? Everyone died down as they want to hear what they were doing. We have strongly suggested that she turn herself into the authorities. She's a person of character and we believe, but he was cut off by the same reporter. What if she refused to do so? Surely you do not believe that regular police officers would be able to overpower her. Have you not seen devastation with her battle with Superman created? The two of them completely reshaped the land with their bodies. For God's sake, she almost killed Superman. As the others started to yell as well and bombard Martian Manhunter with questions, Naruto shut off the TV. He looked at Diana with a troubled look in his eyes, but she was completely calm. You don't need to worry about me, she said with a small smile. I don't regret what I did. If I was to go back and face that situation once more, I would do the same thing. It was the life of a criminal for the sake of thousands of people. I don't blame the Justice League anymore either. Thinking about it with the other stupid man from Just Lord, lobotomized, that creature, I didn't think too well of his actions either. I can't be a hypocrite, she said. Furthermore, the Justice Lord telling everyone that they have taken over the planet made everyone more cautious of us. I understand that they don't want to accept the fact that Maxwell Lord had to be killed. It is because they are scared, as they do not want us to become tyrants and control them. But it doesn't matter, she took his hands. It doesn't matter what they think of me anymore. Your love and support is all I need. My mother is proud of me too. Nothing else matters. Good, said Naruto for a moment there. I thought you'd actually go along with this force. I would never let them parade you around on meaningless trials. I wouldn't let anyone disrespect you like that. As she leaned into his chest as he caressed her hair. How does it feel to be a goddess now, he asked after a while. Not that different, I guess. I mean, I noticed a big difference when my mother unsealed my divine powers some months ago. But now the difference isn't that big. I guess I feel a bit calmer and less emotional. Did you become the goddess of something? I mean, do you have a domain that you rule over? Did you become the goddess of marriage and childbirth like Hera? She giggled. Of course not, silly. How would I be the goddess of that when I've never been married? Or never given birth? Well then, he said, don't keep me in suspense. I don't have a domain. Most of the people were not born in domain. It was the fate of the people that gave them the attributes. Take goddess Athena, people praise her for her wisdom and skill, and talent and craft. In time, she became the goddess of those things. Oh, I was wondering why I didn't get any special powers besides flying, and regenerate my chakras like Kram. As he popped up, out of nowhere, you came back for more, said Naruto. God or not, I'll still kick your furry ass. Kram seemed to huff. So, when are we going back to the Vega system? As he could not wait to get there. To watch people bow and worship him. Jeez, get a grip already, you're drooling, said Naruto. Suddenly, a relic flew inside. It was one of the relics that she was given by Athena. As Athena's voice could be heard, Zeus has left Olympics 2 days ago. I thought that he had gotten away of Hera and Typhon's death and went check the situation himself. But he's nowhere to be found. My sources say that he never went to the Hell Dimension. After further consideration, it came clear to me. Zeus has run away. As the pendant fell on the coffee table. Oi, why would you run away? Didn't Athena say that he was so confident in his power that he disregarded dark side? Isn't that obvious, said Kram. He noticed my power. He sensed my divinity. Naruto and Diana rolled their eyes. They knew that his ego and pride would get much bigger than before. But it wasn't a lie. When Kram released his aura 2 days ago for Naruto to see it struck fear into Zeus' heart. After Athena, coincidentally, informed him of Hera and Typhon's death as well, he became certain of his next course of action. Escape. Time skip. It was 1 week after Max Weller's death. Green Arrow received a strange phone call. Hello? Who is this? It's me, Diana. He looked around as he brought his hand up, so no one could read his lips. Are you out of your mind? Why did you call me of all people? The whole world is out to get you and Justice League is watching me carefully, since I was the only one to speak up in your defense. They would find you in a matter of seconds. I just want to thank you for standing up for me. I wish I could have told you this face to face, but as you said, that is not the option right now. No need to thank me, I only did what I thought was right. Everyone is talking about you being a murderer, but they seem to forget that you prevented thousands of innocent people from being harmed. They forgot how many people were killed by Superman in Metropolis years ago, when Darkseid brainwashed him. A Kryptonian with no morals. They seem to have forgotten how dangerous he was, but they want to use you as an scapegoat, which is not right. It is what it is. With that said, I won't come back again. Justice League has become large and powerful. It does need my strength and more. I'm going to leave the Earth. He was stunned by her words. Leave? And go where, he said. The universe is a large place, I can go anywhere. Besides, I get to be with the man I love. If I'm being honest, I always used to go with him, but in the past, I couldn't ignore my responsibility of being a member of Justice League. But now, there's nothing to stop me any longer. Her mother and the rest of the Amazons were going to leave the Earth too, so there was nothing really holding her back anymore. So you and that alien mercenary are serious about your relationship. Do you know me as a fruitless woman? We've been serious about it since the beginning. Not at all. Well, as long as you're happy, I wish you all the best. Thank you again, Oliver, she said, as she used his real name. It meant a lot that you tried to defend me. I will not forget it. As I told you, I only did what I thought was right. I understand. Oh, and listen to me, she said. I have solid reason to believe that Darkseid will attack the world again, in the near future. But Darkseid is dead. I was there when he died, with another 100 members of Justice League. He's far more powerful than JL give him credit for. Apparently, it's not the first time that he's been killed. He'll be back, and he'll be back with a vengeance. He will never give up on Earth. And how do you know all of this? Oliver asked, as he became rather nervous. It was Goddess Athena that informed me of it. To understand how serious it is, Goddess Athena and the other gods are preparing for an exit. They are going to leave this dimension together with the Amazon very soon. Huh, that's one hell of a bomb. Would you have rather not known, she asked. No, he said. It's better that you told me. What should I tell Justice League? It is not a secret. I told you this so you can inform everyone, although I won't be on Earth at that time. I do not wish to see the Earth destroyed. There are many innocent people who do not deserve death. And also, I believe that Batman or Cyborg are listening on our talk as we speak now. I don't think so, Princess. This is a secure line. No technology is secure anymore ever since Batman created Brother. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm gonna leave Earth atmosphere in a minute, so I can't talk much longer. Thank you again. And if you ever find yourself in dire need of help, go to Dr. Fate and ask him to get to us. Naruto gave my device to contact us no matter where he is. I'll return your favor when you need it the most. Alright, thank you for calling me and for warning us about Dark Side. I'll let Just League know what you said. You take care of yourself, princess, he said. You too. Goodbye, Oliver, she said. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, fun things party concerns, do like, subscribe, comment down below, turn bell notifications they posted. And yeah, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.